Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to the Deep Space Carrier series here on Elite Dangerous. We are doing exobiology nearby our carrier on her maiden voyage out to Colonia. We are currently located right here. We left the bubble back over here a few weeks ago, and we're on our way out to Colonia, which is way over there. So, yeah, that's the plan right now. We do a carrier reposition live stream every Sunday at 6, so if you'd like to come hang out with us while we do that, we do about 3 jumps every time. And it gives everybody a chance to kind of come hang out, enjoy the moving of the carrier as we reposition it for our next round of exploration every week. So, yeah, that's the plan. We're going to get out of here, head off towards the next jump, I think. I got to double check and make sure that we actually have a place to go. I think we do. Oh, yeah. So I picked a place that was kind of... Okay, we are able to do that. I picked a place that was a little bit further away because this ship has a 70 light-year jump range. So I just picked something that was around 10-ish jumps away, and we're just going to go off in that direction and then, you know, kind of meander about. We have a few more episodes to get done before this week is over, so yeah. Oh, it all helps if I actually turn ourselves towards that and start doing that. Have to refill up on fuel. Apparently, well, we ended up doing a Super Cruise overdrive about 100,000 light seconds over here in the last episode, and we used up a lot of fuel doing that. So we're gonna have to spend a second here, stopped in the star, gathering some fuel, and you know, replenishing the supplies a little bit. But that's okay. It'll give me a chance to talk about or to do my standard channel advertisement, basically, where I ask you guys to help us to reach the next major channel milestone of 10,000 subscribers by clicking that subscribe button. The number does not go up unless you actually press the button, so be sure to press it and help us out with that. Hit the like button to help spread the video out to more people so that they have a chance to also subscribe. And then once you're done watching this video, be sure to head over to the channel itself. Check out the more than 1,600 different videos on the channel. I play a bunch of different games, so there's definitely going to be something there for you. And it's all organized into nice, neat playlists to make it easy for you to find whatever it is that you're looking for. So I'm going to hop out of the star here for a second so we can cool off. And then we'll go right back in there again because I ended up using all of my fuel Super Cruise overdriving to that other place that we were. Seems like this one has a fairly distant planets on it too. All right, we're back down to a reasonable temperature. Let's hop back in here. Hopefully we don't have to travel too far again. That was that ended up being quite a lot of fuel being burned out of there. I wasn't really paying attention to that as we were doing it, so I'm glad we didn't end up running out of fuel because that would have sucked. But at least if we self-destruct, we should spawn back on the carrier, which is only a few jumps away right now anyway, so ideally it's not that big of a problem. But yeah, let's we'll hit about 90. Yeah, usually right around 90 I start heading out of the star, and then we will stop over here and see. I don't know that I actually did the discovery scanner. I'm just all over the place right now, kind of scatterbrained. So there's 8 bodies in this system. Let's see what's available. Oh, there's a water world here. How cool! And some high metal content planets. So we'll see if maybe we can find a couple of those, and maybe we'll get lucky and find another Stratum Tectonicus. How cool would that be? Looks like our water world is over here. It is relatively far away. We'll go ahead and target that. And then, ideally... It seems like there's a bunch... Okay, so there's a bunch of rocky bodies, but hopefully we're going to find some exobiology targets here on these high metal content worlds. Aww. All that's left is the... All that's left are the asteroids. Okay. I think what we can do, since it's only... It's right around the limit of what I would have done before they introduced the overdrive, so we'll go ahead and do this. We'll hop it down to about 5 seconds, I think.
Temperature critical.
All right, cool. That didn't end up using too much fuel. And then we'll just leave it on full blast until we hit 6 seconds, and then pop it down to that. Go ahead and get our Super Cruise Assist turned on. You kind of have to finagle the throttle a little bit as you're approaching because you're far enough away that it's able to slow you down much faster than if you just put it in there at the proper Super Cruise Assist throttle thingy there, the blue zone. but you're too close and you're going too fast to be able to just leave it at full throttle. So I do an incremental throttle on my keyboard for 25% increments because that just seems to be the best way to do it for me. If you're using an actual throttle, it's going to lock you in at a certain at wherever it is right now. Like where it is right now, it always just moves it right there anyway. So I find that if you're going to be using the Super Cruise Assist, using an actual analog throttle doesn't necessarily help you that much, because once you get within the range of it trying to control it, it yanks control of the throttle away from you anyway and just sets it where it wants to set it. So I just go with the incremental 25% throttle up and down buttons, and that seems to work out well for me. So we're scanning this water world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. We target the next system en route. Start charging our frameshift drive. By the time we hop out of here, those probes all should have hit. We should get our scan. We should get our efficiency bonus, and then we're on our way to the next system. And then we're gonna have to do a little bit more. We're gonna have to do a little bit more extended fuel scooping on this next one as well, because we didn't quite top off, and we ended up using the Super Cruise overdrive, so that burns through fuel really fast. Yeah. I don't really have much to talk about today, which, to be perfectly honest with you, is becoming more and more prevalent. It's hard to come up with things to talk about without being repetitive, and I'm trying to step away a little bit from talking about some of the things about the game that end up going in a negative direction. So, I don't know. I did start my second RV channel. I have videos coming out every week on Mondays at every week on Mondays at 6 p.m. You know, it's nothing super fancy or anything like that. These first few months of video, the first couple of months of videos, or actually this first few months of videos are mostly going to be. Oops, I stayed in there a little too long. They're mostly just going to be, and they are because I've already recorded them all. They're mostly just talking about, you know, what I want to get out of my RV journey that I'm hoping to go on, or, you know, how I got here, what my plans are, things like that. Some of the projects that I did on the RV, some of the things I want to get done on the RV. You know, just trying to, you know, hopefully start one of those travel channels that other people do. I feel like if I have something to talk about, I know today's episode isn't exactly the most polished and professional thing that I've ever done, but when I have a plan and some things to talk about, I can usually put something together that's pretty good, and I have a fair amount of natural talent as a presenter. I'm kind of naturally good at it, but I've also just had a lot of practice at it as well. So I feel like if I can kind of figure that whole thing out, I could put together a relatively interesting channel that people will want to watch. And because that particular format will be, you know, quite a bit more scripted in the end. Like right now, it kind of isn't, because I'm more or less just kind of talking about my trailer and some things like that. But once we start looking at going to different places and looking at different things, I'm going to have to look up information for those. And that's not really the kind of thing I'm going to be able to wing. I'm going to have to sit down and write at least, you know, some bullet points that I can then speak extemporaneously about. But yeah, it's not going to be the kind of thing where I can do it like I do it on the gaming channels, where I just sit down, record, and then that's it. Like, I'm going to have to do some video editing, you know, get some B-roll, stuff like that. It's gonna end up being something where I'm going to have to put a lot more work into it than I do here, because I'm going to have to. There won't be an option of a just record and then post and that's it. Like, that won't work for that kind of a channel. It sort of works here because video games themselves are inherently interesting. So even on days where I'm not particularly fun or have a lot to talk about or whatever, at least you guys get to sit back and watch some video gameplay. And, you know, some days are better than others. Some episodes are going to be better than others. It's just the way life works. You can't be perfect, or I say perfect. You can't be, you know, at 100% every day. Just nobody has that capability.
Disengaged.
We have... What do we have here? Got a bunch of different icy bodies here, I think. What is this? I think that's a rocky body, but there's no biology on it, so unfortunately... I keep thinking during episodes that I need to go find a reference chart of, you know, different system conditions that have a chance to lead to this or that kind of cool visual thing. But by the time I get done with this video and then I record a couple of other videos, I never get around to actually going to look that up. So if you know of some kind of a reference chart that says that, you know, this kind of system has a high chance of having this visual feature, or this kind of system has this kind of chance of having that visual feature. And then, you know, I can kind of pick which kind of things I want to look for, filter out the stars that don't have the different kinds of things that I want to see, and that way we can increase the chance of actually finding something interesting. I've also been, in most of my episodes, trying to bring up the concept of a galactic racing league, or, you know, some kind of competitive thing where, you know, we use my fleet carrier as a base of operations and people come out and, you know, during the week we're doing exploration, like most of the people are doing exploration, preferably looking for really cool places to do some races and stuff, because I think that would be really, I think that would be really fun. I think it would be really fun, especially if we could turn the weekly live streams that I do into more of a competition kind of thing. And then maybe we could make that something that's like we jump the carrier over to where the whatever race that we're going to do is, and then we do some racing. And then after that, we do a few more jumps to get the carrier wherever it's going to be for the rest of the week, and that's it. So that's kind of my idea of a you know, galactic racing league that's actually a galactic racing league where we're just meandering through the galaxy, finding cool places to race and just racing, and that's it. The problem with that, though, is that especially the further we got into deep space, if people trying to get to us, if you're setting up a racing ship, I don't imagine those ships are going to have much in the way of jump range. So, you know, it's kind of a it's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A conflict of goals, or a conflict of, I don't know. It's kind of a conflict because if you're going to set your ship up for racing, you're not really going to be setting it up for jump range. So, you know, trying to convince people to come out into the black to join our fleet carrier to do that, probably a really hard sell. I'm curious to know, though, how far because I do have a shipyard on my ship, so I'm curious to know what's the limit on the whole, I think there was only 2 bodies here, so we're just going to move on. Yeah, it's 2 bodies here. We're just going to move on to the next one. I'm curious to know what the range limit is for moving your ship from one place to another, because you could take your exploration ship out to the carrier and then pay to have your ship moved from wherever it's stationed over to the carrier. And I think I don't know if there's a range limit on that, because I know there's a range. I heard that there's a range limit on shuttles. So I would imagine that there's probably some kind of a, you know, range limit on being able to just move your ships from one place to another. It would be really cool if there's not, because that would make it much easier for people to decide, hey, yeah, I'll just take my exploration ship out there, and then once I get there, I'll tag my ship to be moved from where it is to the fleet carrier, and then, you know, they'll have their exploration ship for helping us all find cool racing spots. And then we jump the carrier over there, and they don't have to do a bunch of jumps in their racing ship. We hop down to the planet and do some canyon racing, or maybe some SRV racing, or whatever it is. And I think that would be kind of cool. I am aware that there is a racing league already in existence. I forget what it was called. I remember it had some kind of a silly name. Oh, it's a water world. We're gonna go scan that to get some money out of that. But, you know, as far as I'm aware, I would imagine that's mostly in the bubble. I didn't do it. I should do some research on it to find out, but I just never got around to go looking it up. But I would imagine they mostly hang out in the bubble. I don't imagine they're out in deep space doing, you know, finding different places to go. So I just think it would be kind of a cool thing to combine, you know, exploration with. I gotta focus on this. 75 light seconds. Slow that worth it. We passed through a gravity well. It caused me to slow down faster than I was expecting, so that kind of sucks. I don't imagine. I just think it would be kind of cool to combine, you know, exploration for exobiology with, hey, I happened across this really cool looking canyon area that would be really fun for racing. Let's go do that. And then we get everybody together and jump the carrier to that planet. Everybody hops out and goes down. We do some racing. We do some SRV racing maybe. If the canyon, you know, if we find another place right there that does it. Like, I would imagine a canyon race for ships would probably be just as good for SRV racing because, you know, you got to navigate through the floor and all that. But, you know, I think it would be kind of cool to do that. Now, the problem with that is that you have to you have to get the word out to people, which means that I just have to keep bringing it up and hoping that all of you guys spread the word out to something like that, assuming you're even interested in the first place. And then B, even if we can get the word out, convincing enough people that it's worth their time to go do it, easier said than done. All right, so we need 6 probes for this one. But if we could get it done, if we could get it to where, you know, we're consistently able to find tracks, and we're consistently able to find this or that, I think that would be really fun to do. I think it would be really worthwhile. I think it would be a community building kind of thing. And I think it would kind of refresh the game for a lot of people because it does a few different things, assuming you adopt the proper mentality. So, for example, racing isn't really a thing in this game. It's something that you kind of have to figure out yourself and make happen yourself. But it is, so it's something that, you know, I kind of tell people in my Discord when they start talking about how they're getting bored with Elite, I'm like, yeah, it's only an inch deep. It's very, very wide, but it's only an inch deep. And a lot of times it's very much like Minecraft. You got to figure out your own activities. So, you know, we would have to figure out the whole racing thing. And I personally think that the fact that we would be doing it out in the black, away from everything else, and just finding, you know, exotic by location. Like, I know most of the places that we find aren't going to be like super exotic looking, but they'll be exotic because they're not near the bubble. They're away from the bubble. They're somewhere else far, far, far away from the bubble. And in my mind, there's a little bit of extra prestige that comes from, hey, let's go race in a place that's super far away that nobody else, like other people probably haven't even been to before. So if you adopt the proper mentality and you allow yourself to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, allow yourself to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit of, you know, letting yourself be convinced that it's a worthwhile thing. Obviously, objectively, it's just flying around in some canyons, and there's nothing really super special about that. But if you adopt the proper mentality of it, it becomes something that's like, wow, these guys are running around the galaxy, and they're doing racing in all kinds of, you know, different places far beyond the bubble. That's cool. Like, ideally, that, you know, you could adopt that mentality, and I certainly would. I think it would be kind of cool. I think it would add an element to the game that isn't present by default, and, you know, it's just something that can help people be more reinvigorated into the game, because now there's something else you can do. And here's the thing, right? One of the things that at first glance you're just like, well, that's going to get old really quick. But I don't know, because a lot of people do racing all the time. They race the same tracks over and over and over and over and over again, and they never really get tired of it, because the activity itself isn't racing on the track. It's trying to beat the other people. And you never really know who's going to win from day to day unless you just have somebody who's insanely good and unbeatable. That kind of makes it not fun. But, you know, if you have a bunch of people who are right around the same skill level, you know, especially if we had enough people, we could do, you know, skill level brackets or whatever. But if you have a situation where the outcome is not predetermined because, you know, on any day anybody could win, I think it makes it that's what keeps people coming back to racing. Nobody would watch racing if the same person won all the time. Nobody would watch racing because it would get boring really quick. You're not going to watch, like, even the different tracks are all basically the same thing. You go around in a loop over and over again, and that's it. Rally racing is a little different, but even then, you still have a defined track, and eventually you're going to get tired of watching that track. So the thing we have to think about when we're looking at that is not that, you know, it's going to get boring flying these routes and, you know, trying to do these races. It's the competition. Who's going to win today? Who's going to win in this race? you know? And if we can get some like super competitive people who are interested in, you know, trying to be the fastest, trying to be the best, I want to win the race. That's what makes it exciting and fun, and you know, makes people want to do it. So I know a lot of people who aren't interested in any kind of racing are going to be like, well, that doesn't hold any interest for me. I'm not interested in just flying through canyons all the time. But you know, people who are interested in some competition, I think they'd be pretty interested in that. So we just got to figure out a way to get the word out for that, and you know, find people who are interested in doing that particular thing. Again, it's going to be... Yo! I almost went right past that one. Again, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's two of them right next to each other. It's going to be a little bit difficult because, you know, convincing people to commit themselves to going out into the black for an extended period of time. I would imagine most people who are into racing aren't into the exploration aspect of things. It's kind of like a, you know, it's kind of like an opposite sides of the coin kind of thing. If you're interested in exploration, you're probably not interested in racing. And if you're interested in racing, you're probably not interested in exploration. So, I don't know. Because it's a different mentality. It's a different mentality. Exploration requires patience and diligence and all kinds of things like that. Whereas racing requires a much different mentality that is not suited towards, you know, doing a bunch of exploration. But I do think it would be kind of cool if we could get, you know, people who are a little bit disaffected with the game who would be interested in doing some racing, and then we get some people who are really interested in exploration, and then we come up with some kind... I mean, maybe we could even come up with some kind of a system that rewards the explorers for finding interesting tracks for the racers to race on. I think that would be kind of cool. I'm not sure. I mean, I have not even a... Did I? Oh, I just repositioned to do this. I was like, we had some... I thought I jumped out for a second. I was like, no, what did I do? We gotta go do some exobiology. Okay. Let's get the Super Cruise assist turned on. 73C. Too fast. Slow down like that, and hopefully that catches us back up. Okay, speed back up to get back down to 7 seconds. So yeah, my preference is to just kind of throw ideas out, and then hopefully somebody will have an idea. Hopefully somebody else with a little bit more knowledge, or maybe with another way of thinking, will have an idea of how to actually help me put that together. Because I don't mind being the coordinator of everything and trying to make that happen. I do have a fleet carrier. It could be the base of operations, and I could be the person who like kind of manages all that stuff. That's fine. But I'm not good at advertising, and that's kind of the hard part. Getting the information out there in a way that entices people to want to do it, and then, you know, we would have to come up collectively with a system that makes it so that the two different sides of making this work have incentives to do so. So the exploration people need to have a reason to keep an eye out for, to be actively looking for, hey, let's find some really cool canyons that the racers are going to want to race on. Or, you know, because like the odds of finding exploration people who want to do racing, I would imagine is probably that's probably a pretty small Venn diagram. So I would imagine we would need a group of explorers who are doing exploring because they like exploring, and then a group of racers who are along for the ride because they want to go race in, you know, exotic places. I think that would be really cool. Bacterium, stratum, tubus, tussock. They're all in the same spot. So I'm going to leave it on the stratum. I'm going to turn that... Yeah, we're on the right side of the planet already. Let's get the Super Cruise assist turned off. And then we'll get down to the planet. But unfortunately, I think we don't really have any time to do we don't really have time to do any kind of actual scanning. So we'll probably just get down to the planet, we'll land, and then we'll save that for the next episode. Let me start slowing down some, because I don't really want to slam into the atmosphere today. The last thing we need is for me to lose my temper because I was not paying attention, and then we ended up slamming into the atmosphere. So, hoping I'm not speeding too much. We'll get down into here. I'm going to try to stay in a flat area so that we have a better chance of getting towards the bacteria and stuff. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly where everything is going to be, but for sure, the bacteria is almost always in the flatter parts of the planet, so you always want to keep that in mind when you're doing this. Get down to the planet. But yeah, like that's the vague idea I have in the back of my head, and I try to bring it up every episode. Sometimes I talk about it a little bit more, like today. Sometimes I talk about it a little bit less, just kind of bringing it up. Because I always have to remember that, you know, there are people who watch my series on a regular basis, and then I would imagine the vast majority of the views that I get are just random people who pop in and they have no idea what's going on. So if I mention the racing thing, and maybe it will get around to enough people that we'll start to get some bites on that. But we'll see. I don't know. So the stratum ended up being exactly what I thought. Stratum tectonicus is almost always on the high metal content planets, and the rocky bodies almost always have this other kind here. So we'll get to scanning in the next episode because we don't really have much time, or we don't really have any time left. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to click the like button to spread the video out to more people. Subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join the channel as a member if you would like early access to videos, among other perks, depending on which tier that you choose. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. So again, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of the Deep Space Carrier series here on Elite Dangerous. Be sure to come back for the next episode, and I'll see you then.